And we are live. Signal 50 podcast coming at you tonight. It is, what day is it? Sunday the 8th.
Sunday the 8th.
So we've had 5 days to try to figure out an election. How's that going for us?
Oh, I don't know, Alpha. It seems to be getting darker every day.
Well, let's back it up a little bit. I'm Alpha. You got Bravo and Golf on the other ends here, and we're happy to be with you. Lots to talk about tonight. The election nightmare just continues, right? It just doesn't seem to be getting any better, does it?
It's darker before the day or the dawn.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Listen, this election, the only people that have called the election it's the media. Okay, no states have certified their results. As best I know it to be, there seem to be too many inconsistencies, and the conditions for the battlefield have been set a long time ago by the Democrats. They were never going to make the same mistake they made with Hillary twice. So that being said, guys, let's talk about it.
Yeah, this is that's a very good summary. I am hoping that the issues that are going on and they can be remedied in the courts and the Democrats seem to be trying to move things along too quickly so that they can set the narrative, which is another issue by itself. So, but how's Delta doing these days? We have our special guest back.
You know what? It's it's been a long week, right? We're still waiting to see what how this thing shakes out, but for all of us freedom loving, God given rights Americans, it's this waiting and trying to figure out what's next, who's next, and how we're going to do it. Yeah, that's it can get a little burdensome, right? And it makes the day a little bit longer when you're at work grinding it out, knowing that these guys spent billions of dollars of our money, right? Because if you donate, it's our money. And we still don't have we still don't have a result. So yeah, looking forward to chatting this out with you guys tonight and really getting into some of our analysis because I think
Right.
it's worthwhile.
One of the things that's, guys, I don't mean to jump on this here, but something that's really grinding my gears is what I'm, look, one of my pet peeves in the world, and Bravo will tell you this, is the news media is only reporting on what other people are saying on Twitter or this, that, and the other thing, and rumor and innuendo and BS. Okay, I hate to fall into that trap. That's not really what this podcast was meant to be. But one of the things that's really been grinding my gears is looking at the evil the other side is spewing about their plans for people, conservatives. I'm seeing things that are really scaring the ever living crap out of me
Hmm.
that they're saying. Nuremberg style trials for Trump supporters, reparation payments and atonement hearings
Keeping a
and,
list,
and lists. Wow, they really like lists, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Well, especially occasional Cortex there. She's mouthing off like it's going out of style, unfortunately.
She could wind up being Speaker of the House.
Uh, well, I think one of the things that we would like to do, we're all average Joes, Americans who want to exercise our First Amendment rights, and we have them. We're going to use them. And
as long as we have them.
Well, even if, we've had to conceal ourselves so that we don't get canceled at our jobs, but it seems that cancel culture is going to make its way back. So we're set up pretty much for what we need to do. But right now, why don't we talk about where we're at right now with this election count? It's important, as Alpha said, this is not over. This has not been called. It's not been certified. And in the constitutional process, the state legislatures have to certify their votes. So right now, Pennsylvania all of a sudden said it would take weeks to count, and then was it Saturday they came out saying we're calling it for Biden, which then put him over the top. North Carolina is still being counted. No idea why they delayed until the 12th, unless they were in the holdout in case something were to go wrong. Georgia still has some military ballots outstanding, and Arizona is still being counted. There were some ballots. There's almost 200,000 ballots, if I'm not mistaken, from the county. Was that Hennepin County?
Maricopa County.
Maricopa.
County. Yeah.
Maricopa County, which is a bastion of conservatism.
Yeah. Sheriff Joe Arpaio is out there.
Okay, so
He was, yeah.
So let's this is the way the mainstream media, which I'm now going to put Fox into that nonsense. They really went all in. If someone's got their hands behind their back. But I'm
so disappointed.
Yeah, they called Arizona quickly, but then they finally retracted it. But so let's talk about this for a second. The states that right now have I have from the Epic Times. This is actually I call it the accurate map of where we're at right now. Wisconsin is doing recounts right now, so close, and they're finding issues with their election results, computer programs that are inserting whatever they want or whoever wants it to favor the other one. Those programs are being found, so they're recounting. Pennsylvania is being adjudicated right now. There's lawsuits. Again, the poll watchers were not allowed to watch. They continue counting. They did not separate their ballots like they were told. Judge Alito did come out with a decision, which is kind of nice, to say you need to separate it, and they seem to have given the double-barrel middle finger to the Supreme Court. So we'll see how that goes. Georgia's recounting, and there's lawsuits in Arizona right now. Arizona, the ballots were being marked with Sharpies when the instructions said, do not use Sharpies because it doesn't pick up on the machine, it bleeds through, and the ballot gets rejected. So that's that right there. Now, if we were to take Pennsylvania, which they self-declaim themselves, we take them out, and we were to, when they finally get their acts together, North Carolina, Georgia, Pennsylvania, we have Alaska that's already there, and we were to flip Wisconsin, voila, poof. Their little celebration they had last night, which made me sick to my stomach, is all done and over with. So
hey, Bravo, what if you keep Wisconsin and you flip Arizona? Because right now you don't have Arizona.
Oh, there you go. Thank you, sir.
So we're at 289, right? So they can. Nope, you got Wisconsin still in the red.
Well, wait a minute, guys.
They're still over 270.
Hang tight. We got people in the comments section. We've got a gentleman out there, Zach Chapman. He's like, why did Fox call Arizona so early? And I just posted a response to him. Zach, that's a really damn good question. I'd really know the answer.
So we chatted about this a little bit a little while ago. The reason why they called it is they have a series of experts that sit there at their decision desk, and they did some math, some really bad math, because as you can see, as they continue to count, the numbers are narrowing, right? Mm-hmm. So the reason why they called it so early is they did a little math and they figured, well, they got it. It also, Zach, allows for a little bit of dampening of the president's momentum, right? So as you can see over time, the more states the president loses, or looks like he's going to lose, it slows his momentum, which makes these court cases much harder to adjudicate. So
I would also, and thanks for the question,
great
Zach.
question.
I appreciate
great
it.
Question.
I think they were trying to control they wanted to control the narrative. I was watching the results all night, like many of you out there who are listening to us. They
I went to bed.
calling. Oh, I know you went. I took one for the team, like I said the last show. I took one for the team, and I was watching
I'm glad I went to bed.
But when I was watching these results, the first thing that came to my mind was, why are they calling the states so quickly for Biden, and they're slow rolling Texas and Florida and Ohio? They didn't call Florida until midnight. It just blows my mind. But it wasn't until they stopped counting for the night, and they had to stop the momentum. President Trump had such momentum going the whole night. It should have been called for him in the first place. I got to tell you, I'm glad he's fighting this. He's got to continue fighting this. We're all got to support him. I'm not giving up yet. But I was telling my kids, if it comes down to, I have assurances in myself that I've seen that this election is fair and square, then I can accept the Joe Biden. But not until that time. And I got to tell you, there's so much evidence out there right now that that's not going to happen anytime soon. Too many questions. Due process was not followed. So,
Well, you got another commenter in here from Maricopa County,
wow.
Mr. Bullshitter. He says, well, that's his name. And,
Love that name. Love
yeah,
it.
I like it too. Hey, look, I got to be honest with you there, Mr. BSer. I'm disgusted too. It's crazy. And then we have another comment here, Levy May and Georgia. Hear about the software malfunctions giving Trump votes to Biden. After the recount, do you think Georgia will go back to Trump? The answer is, I really do think so.
Yeah.
I just drove through Georgia, literally the whole state, and I'm totally not kidding. Everywhere you looked was a Trump sign. Everywhere.
So, I'll tell you, that's and then to see this control of the narrative and it is sickening. I can't. It just makes me sick. I watched the speech last night, and I watched them placate to the social justice warriors,
identity
politics. Oh yeah, you and me are on the same page there, Delta, and the kids and. Oh, this is a first woman vice president. No one gave you the authority to do this. I wish, and it's just sickening.
So let's back it up a little bit. There's a little bit of emotion in here. Obviously, we're conservatives, and folks out there listening to us, we're just going to be transparent with you. However, we got to back it up a little bit. You got to understand that it is a fight for we're not going to win the narrative. Okay, bottom line.
Nope.
We're not going to win the narrative. However, the president has managed throughout time, right, since becoming elected, and throughout time, to control the narrative through Twitter and through his press conferences, and the things that he's done. He has managed to control the narrative, and now. I got to hand it to the Democrats. They've managed to tear a page out of his book. Because ever since the election night, right, when Trump was up big, right, some of us went to bed, some of us stayed up. I think Bravo stayed up because he nerded out for election night.
I was nerding out.
I ate a pizza. I ate a pizza and fell into a coma.
No, I went to bed and went to work the next day because you know what? That's what Republicans and conservatives do. I could have taken to the streets. I could have burned down a house or robbed a bank, but I decided to just go to sleep and go to work.
It's too much effort.
Because
that's right.
I mean, that's what normal people do, right?
Right.
And I think we'll talk about that a little bit later.
It's totally okay. It's fine.
So he, we go to bed or we stay up, and Trump's on top, and everything looks good, and then all of a sudden, the narrative starts changing, right? And what Biden and Harris did last night was attempt to take control of the narrative, right? Take it away from the conversations about the lawsuits and the fraud.
Yeah, we won, and that's
else.
it.
We won. It's over. MoveOn.org,
right.
blah, 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 blah.
Well, they're also doing it to put pressure on President Trump so that he doesn't get any momentum, so that he, because the momentum is going in his direction. They are finding fraud. They had to hurry up in Pennsylvania. They had to say, oh my God, hurry up, because they're going to find us out. So we have enough time. It was designed in the Constitution on purpose to give us enough time to sort out any issues that might be going on. and we'll see what happens. So
Well, I find this all very interesting, and I'm I'm going to go back to what I said in the last live stream from the remote, undisclosed location. This was
I'm glad you
all.
survived.
Oh, tell me about it. Me too. The next day was a little rough, but we're fine. This was all done by design, and it was masterful. It was absolutely masterful the way that the Democrats did this. They managed to tank a thriving economy, scare the crap out of everybody, and get their mail-in voting all in one fell swoop, and then placate the Chinese. So you know what? Bravo to them. Good for you. Good job.
I have
And that-
nothing to do with it. Don't put my name in there.
Oh, not you. But hey, well played. Well
Yeah.
played. I don't think they're going to like what's going to happen next.
Well, we got to see. All right, I'm not trying to, be a dark cloud on or a dark winter or whatever the tagline is nowadays. But to be honest with you, it's not looking great. I mean, we have some notes and some sections that I think we kind of just breezed over because we got excited that we actually have listeners, which is great. But I don't know, right? I'm gearing up a little bit to have to figure out how to deal with. Well, I don't have to figure out. The playbook's already written. If you've survived the Obama era, then you can survive the Biden-Harris era. It's not going to be pretty. I might buy some more guns, but we'll definitely figure out how to get through the next 4 or 8 years. I personally don't think that, and this is more opinion than anything else, so I just got to be transparent with the listeners. I don't think that Harris can get through 4 years without a scandal, some way or another. I mean, she slept her way to her position in California, and God knows what she did to become the vice president-elect. But
well, just remember, all the dead people that voted for her didn't care.
yeah, they didn't really care.
You know
Okay,
what, though?
so-
I wanted to just quickly, just so that we can have an answer from the president himself. He did issue a statement after the shenanigans with them calling themselves president-elect and having fireworks and pulling on everyone's heartstrings about the fact, blah, blah, blah. Tatum Report posted this. This is where I got it from. Great source for real news. Dump the Drudge Report or get it from Bongino Report. They have also the great reports and authenticated ones. But basically, in his last statement, it says, so what is Biden hiding? I will not rest until the American people have the honest vote count they deserve and that democracy demands. I have complete confidence and faith that President Trump will do exactly that. So that's
Well,
from the
and
president.
he's been fighting for the everyday person since the day he came down the escalator. Whether you agree with it or not, we can certainly get into how he managed to fight for people. See, this is where my biggest concern with the change is a change in policies. I've seen already today that on day one, the number of executive orders that Biden will sign to reverse Trump policies will just completely tank the progress that has been made over the last 4 years.
Well, I think we're gonna have to see. I agree with you. Levi asks, let's say Trump loses and does concede, will the RNC want him to go into Georgia and campaign for the Senate runoffs? I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah, so I have a couple of thoughts on this. He's got a really big microphone, right? Not only is he a former president or a president now, right, and possibly a former president, but he is also he was also a big deal long before he became president. Okay, now it all depends, and to answer Levi's question as best as I can, it all depends on how the politics in Georgia run. Okay, so if Georgia flips back red and the president winds up winning Georgia, okay, and I do want to mention one other thing that just popped in my head before I move on, but then they may want him to go campaign in Georgia for the Senate runoffs. If he doesn't and it stays blue and it stays in the Biden column, maybe not. So the politics are really gonna drive where and when 45 goes and campaigns for other people.
Well, another thing is his base is we're let's face it, we're pretty heated right now.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
yeah,
definitely.
but not in the same way, right? Like I said in the beginning, we're not burning down cities and stuff like that. There's a lot of angry people out there.
Oh well.
The other thing I wanted to mention real quick before we move on is it's interesting the number of House seats that have flipped and our ability to actually hold on to the Senate. It looks like we're going to hold on to the Senate even though the runoffs are coming. And the president didn't win the presidency. So you mean to tell me that everybody was like all good with the down ballot Republicans, but they weren't voting for the man at the top? Weird, right?
Well, how does Biden outperform Obama? Okay. No, it's just not possible. Anyhow,
And there's one other thing, gentlemen. One other thing: the numbers of voters having 90% turnouts in Wisconsin and Michigan, Philadelphia. That's statistically unreasonable, to say the least. To have more numbers of people voting without them registered, or even having dead people vote. That's not really too cool. Let me tell you. So these are irregularities that at least, if whatever happens in the courts, it's being brought to the light. Biden and Harris will never be known as
that there was some ballot harvesting happening, especially in the Democrat strongholds, right? So Michigan, Wisconsin, Georgia, Minnesota. So, and they may have gone to an adult living facility where they didn't fill out their ballots and they just took the ballots or said, hey, we'll drop these off for you. Who do you want me to mark down? You wanted to vote for, blah, blah, blah. None of which, except for the fact that you filled out somebody else's ballot, is illegal. So you have to watch out for that.
Well, hey, guys, just one thing. When I die, that'll be the only time I'll vote Democrat is after I'm dead. So please don't let that happen. Don't let your dead relatives vote Democrat, please.
Yeah.
If you can help it. So I don't know. So where are we at, guys?
So right now, that we're just kind of getting to that voter fraud. This was in Michigan, where they were kept out of the county, or excuse me, Pennsylvania. My mistake. Pennsylvania. This is Cory Booker.
Corey Lewandowski.
Thank you, Corey Lewandowski.
Booker
My mistake.
This is a long
way. He was bringing attention to the fact that the poll watchers were kept 20 feet away, 6 feet away, couldn't get in. We're not allowed in there at all. This is anyone want to take a guess what they were bringing in during that time when they weren't allowed in there? Here, throw some more ballots in there.
So I want us to be careful.
How many are we short?
Be careful. We're not the tinfoil hat, conspiracy theory. I agree that there's a lot of fraud out there, but we don't have any evidence yet. So let's let the Trump campaign and the Trump lawyers go to court and prove their evidence. I agree with you if I'm thinking in my own mind, but we do have actual listeners out there, and we don't want to start like a panic and a riot because we're spewing a bunch of crap that we don't have any actual proof of.
Delta. Right now would be a riot of 4.
Yeah.
5.
Right.
5. There's 2 listeners on 5. It'd be a riot of 5.
No, but Delta, just to bring it up, there was video showing people bringing in ballots into Michigan, with wagons without security checks, and without masks on too, by the way, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So there are poll watchers, poll workers who are coming up with affidavits. And you're right, the evidence will have to play out in court. I get it, but hearsay is hearsay until it's proven.
100%. I support your theory. I just want to be very careful that we don't take exaggeration to the next level and turn it into misinformation.
And from the average American point of view, where we're getting our chance to exercise our freedom of speech,
while we
don't have control. What? What was that?
while we still have it.
While we still have it, being able to, use a little bit of extrapolation and the ability to take what we're seeing in the news and kind of get it out there so that people are cognizant of it, I think helps. So,
Well, I think we're preaching to the choir a small bit, but there's a lot of stuff that's gone on here that's not quite right. And Delta, you're absolutely correct. Look, I think we all know that something wasn't right. We're going to have to let it all sort itself out, and we have to remember on our side to stay calm, understand that nothing has been certified yet, and there's a long way to go. Court fights are going to go on. The Supreme Court will become involved. They already have become involved. And what I can't understand is how somebody can disobey a direct order from a judge. That's insanity to me.
well, there's a new
But
judge in
moving on.
town, Amy Coney Barrett, and there's a new
Yeah.
justice in town. Excuse
Well,
me.
there was a very good reason why he wanted to get that done as quickly as possible, and now you see why.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, so
I put some stuff in the notes, Bravo. If you can pull it up, I think I want to talk about the
unless there are links, I can't bring them up. They have
not
to go
the
through.
links. You can't put
No,
the
I know those
pictures up.
Hold on a sec. Let me. I'll work on that in this end. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
while we're
Start
talking about it. So as we're preparing for the show today, we talked a little bit about, hey, what happened to COVID, right? So if you look in New York, Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, there's huge masses of people all, quote unquote, celebrating. And I say, quote unquote, the dreaded air quotes, because it was interesting to me that they had that many people and they were all organized. And what did the flyer say? If Trump wins, burn down the bank. If Biden wins, celebrate as if it was a party like New Year's Eve. I'm just curious as to how they got all these people out there and what the message was supposed to be. It's interesting to see people all of a sudden COVID's not an issue, right? And it's the hypocrisy is profound, right? So you got some of them wearing masks, some of them not. It doesn't matter, right? The mask, I think Bravo at one point early on in the shows was talking about the mask doesn't really necessarily help you, right? Because if somebody's coughing on you and you're wearing a mask, then you're gonna, it's a possibility you can get it. So yeah. And I guess if you can't bring them up, that's fine. But
Yeah, the problem is the pictures need to be on a link or on a website somewhere I can find them. So I
let
can
me see
come up
what
on
I
the.
can do here. Anyway,
Yeah.
so I'm curious as to, not only the false narrative about the Biden-Harris administration winning already when there's no concession, B, there's way too many questions. But now you have these celebrations in the street and nobody cares about COVID anymore. And interestingly enough, I was watching the news this morning and one of the news broadcasters said, I think we topped the United States' own record for the number of positive COVID cases in a day yesterday. And it was something over, 100,000 or something like that. When are we going to get, are we taking the virus seriously anymore?
Not anymore. It played its role.
Does it not matter?
It doesn't matter. It played its role in terms of getting people to try and get mail-in balloting, not wanting to go outside. That was I believe it was a tactic to slow down the people standing in line or to not have people get out and vote. That was one of their tactics they used. Very elaborate tactic, I will say, but
Well, I mean, and it also furthered the narrative for mail-in balloting and for any other way that we can they can. I don't want to say rig the election because I'm just tearing a page out of the president's book, but I look at this thing and I'm like, how else do you get the country to pull a narrative and change the way that they do normal business in a way that is slightly underhanded and underhanded enough to steal an election. How do you do that? You further the cause and you scare the crap out of people.
Mm-hmm.
And you get them to do things that they ordinarily wouldn't do. And when they agree to it because it's the safest thing to do, I'll be honest with you, my kids got runny noses this weekend, and 2 of them had a fever, a low-grade fever. At first, I panicked, right, because I'm trained to do that after 8 months of COVID. And then once I calmed down, I was like, oh, wait a minute. It's not 104, it's 99, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a runny nose. We deal with this every single year.
Mm-hmm.
Why is this
isn't it?
year any different? No, my kids just didn't like walk outside and eat some grass out of my lawn and get COVID. It's asinine. But my first instinct was to be like, oh my God, everybody, we got to quarantine. I got to put them in their room and they can't see anybody or talk to anybody. And it's just craziness, right? Because
wait a minute.
We're all like Pavlov's dogs out there.
Well, wait a minute. let's follow that. Let's pull on that thread a little bit. Look at what's happening in New York State right now. Look what's happening in New York State. You have a governor in the state of New York who, okay, there are a lot of people with COVID. All right, people are dying because they're dying because that's what people do. We die. It's a fact, right?
Yep.
You've got the governor of New York taking counties that went for Trump or other Republicans and imposing tougher COVID lockdowns and other measures against them. This has now become a political weapon, even more so than it was before. These people are now emboldened, and they're starting to really scare me.
And the other thing is, it sets up a conditional reward so that the general population that may not get into the deep weeds like we like to get into, with promises that Biden said in his speech last night after I was trying to stop with keep my self from throwing up myself, was when he said he will make a new COVID task force and listen to the scientists, and he's bashing the ones that are there now, who made it through this and got the logistics up and all that other stuff, but and make it as a reward. And what's going to happen, in my prediction, is they will allow everyone to go back to some kind of quote new normal, but they did it, not the Republicans. So it takes another win out of President Trump's column, and it's totally disgusting. They have no scruples, no morals. Oh, it's just it just really just adds to the control and the make everyone fall in line. Because if you don't wear a mask and you're in New York State or Pennsylvania, they do mask shaming unless you're protesting. And
did you? Hey, Bravo! Did you see today? Did you see today that on day one, Biden wants to initiate a national mask mandate? He's going to follow through on everything that he said in the campaign. I don't know how you do that, right? I'm an American. I'm free. It's a free country. Unless you're going to regulate me to death and you're going to I don't know, what are you going to fine me for not wearing a mask? I mean, this is crazy talk. What kind of Gestapo do we live in?
Well, wait a minute.
Where this is okay.
Well, wait a minute. You hit another one. Okay. So every time you talk, which is a good thing, you hit a little thread that we need to pull on a little bit. What kind of Gestapo nonsense is this, right? These people are making lists. They're talking about re-education camps for conservatives. They're talking about Salem witch trials for conservatives. It's all about power and control for these people. They love lists. They are the fascists. They are really big problems. I think we're in for big trouble.
So I'm actually more concerned about how we live in a post-Trump era than I am anything else, right? So and I apologize that I keep pulling strings and not actually following through. I really got to get better at that for the listeners out there, but I'm trying. Um, I'm really really concerned. Do we just go back to normal, right? Like where Republicans like Mitt Romney was on Fox News Sunday today, and he's just such an ass. I can't even the words that come out of his mouth. At what point who are you pleasing at this point? And that's a rhetorical question. Please don't anybody answer it. But it's just completely ridiculous. The stuff that comes out of his mouth, and they're all like that. Now, granted, some of them played along with Trump to get kind of, for example, I think maybe Mitch McConnell played along a little bit so his wife could be transportation secretary, things like that. But I just find it awfully hard to believe that anybody's actually going to give a crap after he's gone. They're going to look at this thing as a sneeze in time, and he did some good things, but the way that he did them probably muffled the good stuff that he was really trying to get done. And that's a shame, because if you look at his record and you look at the things that he did and the shit that he accomplished, sorry my language, you look at the stuff that he accomplished, it's unprecedented. And if he just tweeted half as much as he did now, nobody probably would even, they would have seen all that stuff. But it's all about, well, I don't like his attitude, or I don't like this, or I don't like, or he's a racist, or this or that. None of that crap is true. None of it. And it's still, we're in this time in our life where what people say is more important than their actions. And what kind of crazy twilight zone is that?
So this is their plan, right from their website, unless it changes or they're just throwing it out there to try, Joe's leadership during the coronavirus. This is all stuff that was taken from other places. He's a plagiarist, to be honest with you. And, emergency paid leave, they're going to spend money like there's no tomorrow. They're going to require disciplined, trustworthy leaders, grounded in science. Whose science? Theirs. I mean, they can't. There's no research indicating mass work. I can go through a whole diatribe on that if anyone really wants to hear that. But this is all to placate their base, and it's. I really hope these court cases really work. I really do. And we don't have to worry about it. But that's the chances of that happening are getting smaller.
Yeah, so he's not going to do anything. Well, the good news is, Bravo, he can say whatever he wants on his silly little website there.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth of the matter is that everything is so narrow.
Mm-hmm.
The House is now narrow. I think, 14 seats?
I think it's going to be even lower.
It might be even less.
5.
Yeah. So there's not a whole lot of wiggle room for Nancy Pelosi, if she's even speaker. We'll see what happens. And then in the Senate, it's really tight too, right? So it's probably going to be 48, 49 to 51 or 52. That's really tight, because when you got Mittens out there, between him and John Roberts are like, turncoats. When you got those guys out there, you're talking 50-50, broke, the tie break by Harris.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see a whole lot of stuff going crazy,
mm-hmm.
right? I think you're going to see a lot of moderate bills and a lot of moderate policies, and I think seriously, it's going to take a bit of time initially for everybody to figure out, one, they're going to get over the shock that they're not going to wake up to some random tweet in the morning, or 4 or 5 tweets in the morning. They're going to, and I really think it's just going to go back to, business as usual.
Mm-hmm.
That's just,
So,
and it's unfortunate because it's garbage. I work in government. I can tell you right now, business as usual doesn't work. It doesn't move the ball down the field.
Hmm. Yeah. So let's look at some of the other stuff out there, the races that you brought up. If we think about the House of Representatives, and I'll go to my favorite map, 270 to win, because they do a really good job here. So there's some areas in California that are still being counted. Areas here in Louisiana, and you look at the numbers, 218 to 198, and there's 19 seats left to be decided. That to me is pretty impressive. For a president that supposedly lost to a no-show candidate without any adequate speaking skills or even getting people to show up to their little get-togethers. There was like small numbers of people. But now that we've seen their plan play out, now I know why he wasn't out campaigning. He was taking a nap because he could, because people were doing it for him. He cheated. But anyway, so this is the House of Representatives, and you can see here still so there's 19 seats to be determined, so we can kind of see where that goes. And then look at the Senate for a second. 2 and 2. So there's 2 seats, like the special election. They had 3, Kelly Loeffler and Raphael Warnock. Doug Collins, who I liked as a representative, decided to go for the senator open race there, and unfortunately didn't make that cutoff. Georgia's election, they don't have primaries; they just have. Unless there's a clear winner of 51%, then they have to go back to another runoff. And then there's this other one, Purdue and Osloff. So there's going to be 4 in this next election. So the Democrats could possibly, well, let's hope they don't, but they may win it.
Yeah, they could potentially take the Senate. I don't actually see it though, and I don't. Again, I made a prediction about the presidential election, which was kind of wrong. So there's 4 seats out there. 2 to I think Georgia stays red, or they go half and half.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then what? North Carolina is the other one.
Yeah,
I don't see North Carolina breaking yet.
So Martha McSally. Well, let's talk about that race for a second. So Martha McSally and Mark Kelly.
Yeah.
Is that a possibility that could switch because of the shenanigans going on in Arizona? If they find out those,
it's possible, right? If the ballots are currently being counted, has she conceded yet? I don't know if she conceded.
I don't think she did.
Yeah.
She better not have. Look how close that was.
Alpha, Bravo. Do we lose Alpha on this deal?
Oh, we're in Alpha. Well,
I'm here. I'm just listening.
You became a guest in the chat room.
I'm I'm a Jaffo. So at this point,
we've listened to Bravo pontificate, Alpha. I think you should come on board here and give us a little.
I'm not going to pontificate. I'm coming. I'm not going to pontificate. I think that we're geeking out on some stuff here, which is fine. I mean,
I think, but you bring you better than me or Bravo tend to bring that regular guy.
Let's cut the bull.
Weaponized mentality.
Let's cut the bull. Let's cut the bull.
Right.
Let's cut the bull snot. Okay, let's cut it. All right. First things first. It's not over. Nothing is certified.
Right.
They're recounting in a number of different places. There are lawsuits pending. This is a disaster. This is exactly what the Democrats wanted all along. Delta, before you joined us for a lot of the activities here, a lot of what I was saying has come to fruition, unfortunately, that the object was chaos. And COVID was the weaponized manner in which to do it, to commit large-scale potential voter fraud. I'm not saying it did happen. I'm saying potential. There's a lot of stuff going on yet. It's not over. Could Martha McSally, could McSally seat and that astronaut guy, can it flip? Yeah, could.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? I think we just have to sit back and take a let's see approach. But my concern is what Biden and Harris did by claiming victory was setting a narrative for if anything happens to overturn this, you're going to end up in violence.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're not doing anybody any favors, are they?
No.
Was that purposeful or what? I think it's purposeful, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
So, I hope that cuts through it for you enough.
Mm-hmm. It does. I'm hoping that it goes nicely, but even if so where do we go from here? We take the wait and see approach. We'll come back on another show and talk about something else. But right now we have to wait and see how the courts go. I mean, I'm encouraged by Rudy Giuliani's push, and Steve Bannon's working in the background, and the president should take every legal measure that he can, and we'll see what happens when they flip the rocks over. So,
yeah, and I think the point to your point, Alpha. I don't think the Democrats know how to govern without chaos. You look at, you look at New York, you look at California. Unless there's some, it's like a train wreck, right? And you just can't look away. Like you look at San Francisco, Los Angeles, the homeless, all that stuff. You just look at any of these liberal-run cities all across the nation, and they can't figure out how to govern unless they're saving somebody, right? Saving some cause, global warming, save the whales, recycle everything, whatever. It's just, I just don't see them being the Democrats. I don't see them being able to govern without chaos or without some giant tragedy that they have to somehow figure out how to fix.
yeah,
It's not okay enough just to be the best.
hey,
You got to be the best while your inner cities are rotting.
right. So Zach here, thanks for chiming in. Let's see what we think about this again from the average American point of view, and we're all here to kind of give us some ideas. Biden accepted presidency because it puts the burden of proof on the Trump in the people's eyes. Excellent point. That's a little more
Absolutely.
concise than I can say it. That's good. But definitely,
Yeah, get that kid a microphone, huh?
There you go. No, yeah. I agree with you 100%, Zach. Make Trump have to produce it, and it also makes it a little bit more difficult for the case if the Supreme Court and the courts, they'll feel the pressure that they've already proclaimed themselves to be president-elect, vice president-elect, and to have to be the ones to say, no, this is not going to happen. Again, we all understand the process that the legislatures have to certify and say who their electors are going to be. There's still many steps in the way that they can say, well, we're not going to certify it, or the Supreme Court could turn around and say, nope, the House of Representatives has to determine this. Again, too much things in the air. We'll have to take a wait and see approach, but I definitely agree with you, Zach. It's from the people's eyes. Now Trump has to, he's the one that's got to bring the receipts to the table. So anyway,
yeah, I'd really like to see the House just answer this question. I mean, come on.
yeah, that's where it's gonna have to go.
It'd be
I think.
nice. Yeah.
And then you have real voter ID, voter reform, guidance to the states so that they continue to be able to run their own elections, but having standards in place. Not telling them what to do, but license plates have to meet certain standards. Driver's licenses have to meet certain standards. We can go on and on. every state has their different license plate. Every state has a different, kind of item. But that would be the way to go with that.
Well, you hit the nail on the head there, Bravo. There has got to be some. There's okay. We got about 10 minutes left or so.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what meaningful voter reform kind of looks like. Okay.
Sure.
Voter IDs, a must have.
Now, could it be a license? Could it be a passport? Could
No,
it
I
be-
think it needs to be a voter registration card with your picture on it and your signature. I
Okay.
think it's got to be the whole smash, right? We
I go
it
one
in-
step further. Make
we
it
do-
bio IDs. Like the fingerprint or retina scans.
But
we
we
have
do it.
technology.
We do it with driver's licenses, pilots' licenses,
Yeah.
weapons licenses, right? We do it with we do it with this stuff all the time. So voter ID. This is not hard, and it's not going to stop anybody except for illegal immigrants or people who shouldn't be voting from voting. Period. End of story. That's number one. Number two, campaign finance reform. Billions of dollars was spent on it. Billions, right? $100 million against South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham. How do you spend $100 million in a Senate race? Are you
Which the
kidding me?
Democrats are now out 200 something billion dollars.
It doesn't
they
matter.
spent-
But for all the we want to save the world and we need to put money in the average person's pocket and we need a
Yeah.
stimulus bill, where's all this money coming from? I know where it's coming from, right? Because we all donate to it. But if you got that much money to blow on a campaign race that you can't even win, write that check to the Treasury and let's put it in people's pockets who are suffering from COVID.
Mhm.
So campaign finance reform, voter registration, and then for God's sake, look, I know that states are sovereign. I get it. And then there are 54 or 54 if you count territories in the district. And I know that the governors are there, they run their own little fiefdoms, but for federal elections, Senate, Congress, and the presidency, it better be one standard of voting.
Mhm.
One standard. So
I
voter
mean, one
registration.
person, one vote.
Yeah. So voter registration,
Yeah.
campaign finance reform, and a standardized system of voting across the country. That's how this gets fixed.
You are never going to see that anytime soon.
So I think going back to my original thought was that it be standardized, or you have to meet certain standards. Just like the highways have to be made in a certain standard, or OSHA standards, or every state has to meet those. You can find a way to get there, but it has to meet these standards. I think that would go along with your plan there for voter reform, Delta. I think that's a good idea. But
I mean,
that'll-
we regulate everything else in this
All
country.
right. Okay. Hold on a minute. Does anybody see why we've never done voter registration reform or voter ID yet? Do you see why the Democrats are so against voter ID? Anybody
they
get that
can
yet?
cheat. They're freaking.
You get it
Voter
now?
rounds?
You
Oh,
you
yeah.
get it now?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Now
Yeah.
let's just hold on a minute here. We're running short of time, but I've got to say this. Of all of the things in the world that any politician can do that irks me to the core, voter fraud.
Mhm.
Okay. Let me tell you something. If the Republican pulled a voter fraud scheme, I would be even more pissed off,
Mm-hmm.
okay, than the Democrats. I expect it from Democrats. It's what they do. I would disavow you if you were a Republican and you got caught cheating in an election, because you're hurting people. You're hurting the basis of this country, what this country was founded on, the freedom of choice. One man, one vote. Go choose. Go speak your piece at the polls. It is the ultimate sin against a representational republic or a constitutional republic like this to commit an act of voter fraud. You have usurped the will of the people by doing this. So you are a tyrant if you have done that. Does anybody agree or disagree with me?
Oh, I 100% agree with you, sir. And let's see.
Oh,
Levi's.
he's all over it.
Yeah,
he's
this is great.
all
Thank
over
you.
it.
Thank you, Levi. I
Polling
appreciate it.
integrity. Yeah, it's all a game. It's all a move. All the polls
Mhm.
we've talked about it. Levi, you might have missed our other podcasts. But thanks for joining us. We discussed a little bit of this, and what it boils down to is voter suppression tactic.
Yep.
Because all these pollsters are paid by somebody. They don't work for free. Frank Luntz and all these guys, they're millionaires for a reason, and they're never right. It's a manipulation. It's propaganda.
Right. And they can also justify as to why why Biden caught up so late in the game. Oh, we'll see the polls. We were actually right. Baloney. I don't believe it. But yeah, great point.
Yeah, but it's also interesting though that we still had the greatest voter turnout. Not to diminish the point, because Levi's spot on this. I don't think that there was a lot of suppress. I think people were just really emotional.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, whether you were alive, dead, or an illegal alien, you voted Democrat because you were emotional about it. And the same thing goes on the Republican side as well. So it took us a little bit of while to get to where we're at, but that didn't. There's a lot going on. There were people that voted Cindy McCain, right? That turncoat out there in Arizona. There were people that voted for Biden just in spite of Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And that is horrible.
Her husband
Horrible.
was the one who handled the Russian dossier crap before his death too. So you know what, John McCain, thank you for your service. I appreciate it, but you were a POS.
Mm-hmm.
He was a political operative for many, many, many years.
Yep.
He was not the good guy that everybody portrayed him out to be. And, you know, he was a POW. I can't take anything away from him. But you know what? I wouldn't put anything past him or his wife or any of these people. Guys, let's cut the crap. This is all about money and power.
Mm-hmm.
It has very little to do at this point with the will of the people. What really is bothering me now is we know that Joe Biden sold his office to the highest bidder. His son auctioned off his office to the highest bidder and profited handsomely from it. We understand that all the people that work for the Obama administration colluded together to frame a president of the United States into an impeachment to get rid of him before they all got caught because of Hillary Clinton's misdeeds, her email scandal, Benghazi, the IRS. All of this crap went down, and guess what? They're pushing so hard to keep everybody that they sit in back rooms and smoke cigars and laugh at all of us little peons that go to work every day to pay their salaries so they can go out and loot the world. They're laughing at us.
Yep.
That's how I look at it. I'm just a regular guy here, and that's how I see it. And it's disgusting.
So the biggest thing we do right now is we hang tight, let due process work itself out. We'll have a little bit of faith, do a little bit of praying, and in the end, it'll all work out. Hopefully.
And we ensure that we do it the right way and we stay above board. We're not like the other side, the riots, the looting,
Mhm.
The violence. You know, that's just not what we do.
That's
Right.
not who we are.
That's
right.
not who we are. I got up and went to work. I still go to work. You two gentlemen do that as well. And we'll continue to do this. And it's like I said on a previous show, I think it's probably a good way to wrap. We figured this out. We dealt with 8 years of Obama, crappy economy, people working 2 jobs to make ends meet, things like that. We can get through this if we have to and come out on the other side and then figure it out going forward and start putting some people who are competitive and are smart and are willing to take and make the risky calls.
Well, I agree with what you're saying. I think we're going to have to wait for things to shake out a little bit. I think that we did put people out there that were competitive. I thought we put some great idea candidates out there. I think that the the machine. All right, I'm going to say it. I think the machine is a little bit too entrenched, and I think we're fooling ourselves. I think that the deck is stacked against. The deck is obviously stacked against us, and it's unfortunate, and it really hurts me to say it. You've got a gal like Kim Klacik over in Baltimore. Great candidate, great ideas. She wants to do some changing. She wants to really represent Baltimore and drag them out of the pit of despair. She lost to a swamp creature.
Yeah. What are the and Zach here? What are the odds that due process of the vote recounts is corrupt as well? I don't know if it would be if the due process went through, and maybe you have a judge that won't let it go through. We've had some cases in Pennsylvania where they were not allowed to continue with a certain recount, or the judge rejected it. But it's going to bypass that level of the court. Again, I'm not a lawyer, but I've done a lot of reading on this. But it goes up to the next level, to the federal level, the Supreme Court, and it will come out. It's already coming out, and we have a lot of. And the biggest thing right now, just to add to your question there, Zach, when you have people walking around with cell phones, with recorders and video cameras, it's very easy to get evidence compiled, and people that are willing to sign the dotted line on an affidavit and say, I saw this on this day, here's the proof, I swear to it, and many more people come forward with it. It's very hard not to get it from getting out there. So I would we got to keep the faith that due process will work. And it may come down to the Supreme Court saying that there's too many irregularities. We're going to need to send this over to the House of Representatives. But no one's talking about that. Mark Levin has, but it's not certified yet. So let's see what happens.
Well, okay, back up the train. Back up the train.
Mm-hmm.
The answer to the whole thing is you vote in person. You vote with an identification card. Mm-hmm. Period. Full stop. You have to. If the country of India, that has 5 times our population?
Mm-hmm.
If the nation of India, which is one of the largest populations on the face of the planet, if not the largest population on the face of the planet, with
China
a nominal,
beats them, I think.
Well, it's a horse apiece, right?
Well, they vote. China doesn't. They just
well, right. But anyhow, okay. That being said, if they can issue a voter ID to everybody that lives in that country, that is one of the poorest countries on the face of the planet per capita, what's stopping them from doing it here?
Yeah, so that's where that due process question that Zach brings up. Is it going to be corrupt? Well, they're trying to, but there's too many lights on now. They turn the lights on and everyone's scattering. So, but the reform part of it, we have to be willing to look at the issues involved and address those issues and come up with a system that will allow us to ensure that the process going forward is legit. So and I'm not a big fan of holding on, wait and see. And, I'm kind of let's go already, move it. And I don't have very many patience for this stuff, but as Delta and Alpha were saying, we have to wait for the process to move its way forward. And that's where due process comes in. But I personally like sitting here saying, come on already, come on.
No, you got to sit tight. You got to let this one play out.
Yep. No, I agree.
Well, it's very interesting that, everybody, look, my news sources have changed to Newsmax and the Epoch Times. Okay.
Right there. I just signed up for the Epoch Times and got my subscription.
They're great. They've been doing a great job. They just released an article about 30 seconds ago about the amazing amount of statistical anomalies in the election, and just everybody needs to hold on tight. We have a little bit of time left, and I don't care if what's her face and
what's his name
and what's his name declare that they are king and queen of the United States. I don't care.
Which they are. Hey, this is a great question, Levi, just popped up here. Yeah. I want to kind of, we appreciate everybody's time tonight. We don't want to abuse that. We want you to come back. But I want to answer this question. We do a quick around the room, lightning round.
Mm-hmm.
The ticket for 2024. I'm gonna say Nikki Haley and Crenshaw.
I'm gonna say Giant Meteor and Sharknado. Let's just end all of it. I can't even anymore.
Oh, now that we're talking, that's interesting. I think Don Jr. is going to try and get in there. But I'd like to see him in New York as governor, to be honest with you. But I would say DeSantis and Nikki Haley.
Oh, DeSantis.
I'd say DeSantis and Candace Owens.
Oh, even better.
Oh, she's too young.
No,
For
she's
vice
not.
president?
Is she 35?
I think so.
She's close. I've met her. She's maybe, I don't know. She's on the younger side. Don Jr. for 2028. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, listen. I wouldn't put Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley's. She'd be a questionable candidate.
South Dakota's governor. What's her name?
Kathy Noem.
Kathy Noem,
Kathy Noem. All right.
So
Let's all move to South Dakota.
There's a lot of really good Republican candidates out there. I think, and I'm gonna wind up my portion with this. I think the post-Trump Republican Party has a lot of thinking to do. If they go back to the way things were pre-Trump, we're just gonna get hammered again.
Mm-hmm.
So they should really, take some lessons out of this deal.
Look,
that's what I got to
we're
say.
we're belaboring the point, but what makes everybody think that we really got hammered?
We didn't get hammered in.
I don't think we got hammered at all. I think
No,
I think we're going to prove out that we probably didn't get hammered as badly as we thought we got hammered. I think it's all an illusion, and I think we're going to be. It should be interesting. I don't think we're done yet, and I don't think we got hammered. I think that there's a lot of shenanigans that got played. I can't call it for sure. Nobody really can.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think we got hammered as bad as you think.
Right. I'm gonna have to look for that, Levi. I have not seen that the COVID-19 hunting video. I think maybe I have.
Levi and Zach, thanks a lot for commenting. We're at an hour and 7 minutes. We've taken enough of everybody's time, and it's late, and some of us had we got a long week ahead of us yet. So hey, listen, I'm going to take us out of here. Bravo Golf, thank you very much for doing some heavy lifting while I was on my world tour. I appreciate that. And I'm still not recovered yet. I'm pretty tired. So on that note, I'm going to give you our affiliate link, and then we're going to tell you a little bit about where to find us. And hey, thank you too, Zach. Appreciate you. Have a great night. POF USA, POF-USA.com, makers of the finest AR-15 style rifles anywhere in the United States or even the world, probably the galaxy. I'll go there. You're probably going to need one really soon. If you don't have one, find a way to get one. And
can I get a phaser?
A phased plasma rifle in the 40-watt range.
Rifle?
Yeah, only what you see, pal. So, look, go to POF-USA.com, and hopefully someday we're going to have a discount link for you and maybe get you a few bucks off of something cool. You can find us on Parler, Rumble, YouTube.
They're all the only ones that are live streaming.
I know.
Yeah.
Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify. Are we still on Spotify?
Not really, because it's complicated.
Yeah, it sucks. It's complicated. You can also find us on Amazon. What's Audible?
Yeah, and I think going forward, this format works well. We'll maybe doing live streams midweek if we can do it, but definitely Sundays. We're going to try and do a live stream and kind of go over the week's events and see, what things we can shake out of it. So this is a great thing to have available to us. We really enjoy the interaction.
Yes.
And we love to hear, keep us, let us know what else you want to talk about or what you want to hear or how we can improve this. So
on that note, everybody have a great week. We'd like to thank our soldiers, sailors, and airmen that protect us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Our police, firefighters, and our cops out there. Don't lose faith, cops. Still a lot of people that support you out there in the universe, even though the declared king and queen will probably want to get rid of you. We don't want to get rid of you at all.
That's right.
We need you guys a lot.
Alrighty.
So thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great night. And on that note, we're
Have
out.
a great night, everybody.
Thanks.
We'll see you
everybody.
next time.
Bye-bye.
Take care.